Thanks for coming, guys. Hopefully tonight's lesson will be informative and helpful. Tonight's lesson is all about phone calls. So it's all about ways to say different things on the phone, to ask for things. And sometimes, I guess, even if we've been speaking English for quite some time, the way we say something might be what you'd like to copy down, okay? And I'll explain that as I go. The first thing I'm going to ask everyone to do tonight is to have a think about phone calls in general. So phone calls in English, phone calls in Portuguese, and to think about what's easy and what's difficult in English and Portuguese on the phone, okay? So obviously for most of you, it's easier to develop questions and to just speak when you're on the phone in Portuguese. And sometimes when we're talking in English on the phone, we have to really think about what we're going to say and we have to pay attention to other people. So tonight I would like you to write down 1 or 2 questions for me about things that bother you about speaking English on the phone. So for me in Portuguese, some of the things that bother me are that I'm not always sure of what the other person is saying. So I get embarrassed that I have to say sorry, pardon, all the time. So if that bothers you, then pop it down, okay? So the whole point is tonight, hi Monica, the whole point is that I want you to be thinking about your learning, your own learning. Yeah, it is hard to understand, Hannah. And hopefully some of the things that I'm going to tell you and teach you tonight will help with understanding, okay? But some of the problems are often vocabulary around being on the phone. So if you've just come on, our lesson tonight is going to be all about telephones and speaking in English on the phone. So last week, obviously, I changed the date last minute. I had an appointment and so I changed it to a Wednesday. So there were still a few people who came in on the Wednesday, but it wasn't as busy as a Thursday night. So I'm glad we can come back to the Thursdays. Hi, Fernanda. And yeah, just thanks for coming back. Hey, Julia. And I'm looking forward to having this dialogue with you around phone calls. So last week I talked a lot about conversations, and I hope some of you came online even though I wasn't there and watched the video. In general, the idea was to help you develop skills to encourage conversation, I suppose, in English. And that came originally because many people were asking me, how do I just make a friend in Australia? How can I converse with someone in English? And so that's why that lesson came about. This lesson has come up because I've had 2 people ask me. One has a job interview and it's a phone interview, and another person just really struggles on the phone. And I've noticed just myself, even when I'm trying to speak in another language, phone calls are difficult. My partner he's great on the phone, but he has some issues around using words that we don't use. So I just thought I would have a quick lesson on phone calls. I'm not sure how long it's going to take. I've got 11 pages of notes here to go through with you. So I think I'm set. But a lot of what I'm going to do tonight is I'll be talking about what we say. I'll be repeating it. I'll probably pretend to have a few phone calls with you. And if you're by yourself, hey Fernando, hi. Thanks for coming back. Yeah, so if you're by yourself, I'm going to ask you to be brave and kind of to practice an imaginary phone call with me as well. Okay, but we'll see how that goes. So let's get started. There's a few people here now, and I'm sure others will pop in and out. So I wanted to start just with general phone vocabulary. And please, I'm sorry and I apologize if you know this stuff. But remember what I've said in every lesson. If you leave just with one new idea, one new thing from me, then it was worth coming on. So I hope you feel the same. So first of all, I wanted to talk through the different types of phones that we have because each phone has a different name in English, and depending on the age of the person you're speaking to, they may use those names. And I just wanted to make sure that you understand where they've come from, why we use them, and yeah, so the first part of my lesson is called types of phones. And I am going to eventually type these notes up as well, and I will put them on the Facebook page. And I'm probably going to do a YouTube clip on this as well, just for the people that don't come into this group, because I think phones are something, and phone calls are something that are really important for most people. So that's why I'm going to type up the notes as well. So the first thing about the types of phones, I want to start with like an older type of phone. And that's the phone that kind of connects itself to the wall. Yeah. So it's got a plug in the wall and the phone line goes in and there's a cord, and then you pick up the receiver and there's another cord. So if you don't know the name of this, it's the receiver. Okay. And there's another cord that goes around. Actually, I'm going to stand up for this one because I have on my wall an intercom. It doesn't work, but here in my house, there is an intercom. And I just want to show you an intercom because it's similar to a telephone, the old one. So let's have a look. I'm sorry if you see my house because it's a mess at the moment because I'm still trying to clean up from the party. So this is an intercom, yeah? This one calls someone outside, but doesn't work here. But you can see how it's like attached to the wall and it has the cord. So the phone, the old school phone that's like that, we call a landline, okay? And it's called a landline because the cord is the line that connects to the land of the house, okay? So that type of phone is a landline. And if I'm talking to like my auntie or even my mum sometimes, but my grandma definitely, then they would say like, if it rings, can you pick up the landline? So depending on the age of the person, they may use this word with you. Obviously we have like a mobile phone, which I can't show you because I'm using mine, my iPhone. But a mobile phone is obviously just the one you carry around, yeah? But in the United States, they call it a cell phone, yeah? So we don't call it a cell phone in Australia. There's a lot of tourists that come here that call it a cell phone. But here in Australia, it's just a mobile, yeah? Obviously, everybody knows the new names for them are smartphones, okay? Because they can do more than just call. And so it's good to know the different names and be able to use them and who uses them, I suppose. So someone who's saying a smartphone instead of a mobile might be someone who's a bit more tech savvy, a bit smarter with technology. I don't think my dad would call his iPhone a smartphone because he doesn't know how to use it for anything except for calling and sometimes texting. Okay, so for him, it's just a mobile, like the very first cell phones or mobiles that came out. Then obviously we have the machine that's connected to the landline and we just call that the answering machine. So you'll ring up and you'll get the beep, beep, leave your name and number after the beep, beep, and you leave your name. But what we say is we're going to leave a message, okay? So we're going to leave a message on the answering machine for Dad, yeah? All right, so they're the different types of phones. So just different vocabulary. And I thought maybe landline might be one that you don't know. Did you know landline before? If you did, can you give me a thumbs up? And if you didn't, and it's a new word, can you send me some love? Give me a heart so I can see who knows what. Second off, we're going to talk a little bit about types of calls. And this is just, oh good, there's a couple of hearts coming. So some people are learning it for the first time. Great. So worth coming. See, we're what? One section into the lesson and already people are seeing something for the first time. That's what my aim is here. So the next one is types of calls. And so this one is if I'm telling someone who I'm going to phone, who I'm going to call. And so if I'm calling, I live in Sydney, so I'm not sure where you guys are. Actually, why don't you tell me where you are? Are you all in Sydney? Just, hi Priscilla, just down below, can you write if you're in Sydney or if you're in another state? Because that'll help me get to know you guys a bit more as well. But yeah, if I live in Sydney, so if I'm calling Sydney, then I'm making a local call. Okay, so that's anywhere in Sydney. So, and it also includes, like for anyone who was in like semi-lockdown, it also includes the Blue Mountains. It includes Adelaide. Oh, I'm so glad someone's from interstate. That's so cool. And yeah, so that also includes like where my parents live on the Central Coast as well, which is like a bit further away. So it's Greater Sydney, yeah. And so each state in Australia, you probably know this already, but each state in Australia has a different dial code. So it's the same in Brazil, like for each state it's different. Sydney, Esther's in Sydney, cool. And so in Sydney, it's 02. If you have a landline, okay, then the code here is 02. And most businesses, if you have to call a business, you're going to be calling a landline. They don't normally use mobile numbers. So in Australia, the landlines are 8 numbers long. And then they have the 2 city codes beforehand. So if I were in Sydney and I'm calling Sydney, I can still have, I can still put 02. It makes no difference. I don't pay any more money. But if I put, and I don't know what it is in Adelaide, Priscilla, do you know the code for Adelaide, for South Australia? But I think Queensland is like 03. So if I put 03 and I call Queensland, I pay more money from my landline. Obviously, if you're calling from a mobile phone, it doesn't make a difference because most of like these days we have plans and they include the same, amount of money in them, so we can call anywhere in Australia. But if you're at work here and I don't know where you all work, but if you're at work and you decide to make a phone call to interstate, no idea, no worries, something to look into. So yeah, it will cost your work more money for you to call from a landline. So quite often it's more economical these days to call from your mobile phone. So that's the first one, local call. When you're calling just in Sydney, or in Priscilla's case, she's calling just in South Australia or Adelaide, okay? Then the next one is long distance call. So we can use this terminology, long distance call, or interstate call. And that's if I were to call Priscilla. Let's say after this, I decide I'm going to call Priscilla and I'm going to call her interstate, yeah? So it's an interstate call or a long distance call. The next one you guys are probably very familiar with, except I'm sure some of you are now using like WhatsApp or, I don't know, FaceTime or some other gadget or app. But obviously if I'm using my landline, then I'm going to be making an international call to call Brazil or United States where my sister used to live, or so I'm gonna be making that international call. Then in Australia, we have some numbers which are free calls. We call them a free call number. And they normally start 1-800 or 1-300. So we don't actually pay for these phone calls. If we're using our landline, they don't cost us anything. And some businesses use it as a way of getting our business to them. Okay, so we can contact them for free. So that's any number beginning 1-800 and most numbers 1-300. And then finally, the last type of call that we have is that I can make a reverse charges call, which is where, say, I want to talk with my mum and dad. So I ring a number that's pre-organized and that number goes to my mum and dad and they pay so that I don't have to pay for the phone call. So in Australia, we call it reverse charges. And in United States, they call it collect call. I'm going to make a collect call. So if you're watching any films, especially ones about like being in prison, then you may have heard the terminology collect call, but I wonder if you have heard reverse charges. So if you have heard reverse charges, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't heard reverse charges, give me some love. I want to know if you know this one, reverse charges. So this is all about words and phone phrases, I suppose. Yay, more people that didn't know reverse charges. Woo. And so how do we describe to somebody what we're doing on the phone? Obviously, we know the word to talk, the verb to talk, and we know the word to speak or the verb to speak. And so either of these are appropriate for phone calls, yeah? So I'm going to talk on the phone, or I'm going to speak on the phone to my mum, to Luciana, to Priscilla, to Monica, to whoever, yeah? But if I want to tell someone I'm going to actually make that phone call, I'm going to take the action, I can use some other words. So I can say, like, I'm going to ring Shirley. That's the most popular one here, okay? I'm going to ring, just like ring, the word for your finger. I'm going to ring so-and-so, okay? So maybe Fernando wants to, I don't know, call a friend to say, let's go out for a barbecue. He can say, I'm just going to ring Joseph or whoever he wants to call for that barbecue, okay? But I can also say, I'm going to phone that person, or I'm going to call that person. So any of those are okay. They all make the same, they all mean the same, so they all make the same sentence. I guess the one that's like a little bit different is that I'm going to call, because it can be confused with like, I'm going to call out to someone. So like if I say, I'm going to call Marcus, I can also call Marcus here at home. Hey Marcus, what are you doing? So I just need to keep in mind what I'm saying. But of course, most Australians are going to understand exactly what you mean. And if you start doing this one or picking up your phone, it's going to be a lot more helpful. And then obviously if we're sending a message, we don't often say, you know, I'm going to message whoever. We just say, I'm going to text. Yeah. So not I'm going to make a text, not I'm going to do a text, but I am going to text, period. Okay. So I'm going to text Flor, who's my sister, to ask her to come over on Saturday to help me with the cleaning up. Okay, so I'll text her later. And these are the actions that come with making phone calls. So we had speak or talk on the phone, ring, phone or call a friend, and to text someone, yeah? All right. So the next one is, I guess, just important phrases to be thinking about. So this is when I'm sitting at home and I hear and I look at my friend and I say, the phone's ringing. Can you get it? The phone is ringing. Yeah. And again, you may know these small phrases, but if you don't, then it's good to learn them, because you can explain yourself a lot more with this basic terminology. So that sound is ringing, yeah, the ringing of the phone. So the telephone is ringing, and then, you know, I might say to my child or to my friend, can you pick up the phone? So we don't literally mean like pick it up, but just picking up the receiver and answering. We say, can you pick up the phone? Okay. And I can also say, can you pick up the receiver? And again, that would be something that like my mom or my grandma would say. That would be more common than if I were to use that terminology, because I would probably say phone all the time. Another way to say that is, can you answer the phone? Yeah. So can you pick up the phone? Can you answer the phone? It's exactly the same thing. And then the other way is, can you hang up the phone? Okay, which is really strange because we're actually putting it down, but we never say, can you hang down the phone? We always just say, can you hang up the phone? And I think it comes originally from that kind of phone that was on the wall, because previously when there was more of a landline, then most of the time you hung it up on the wall. Yeah. So, and the terminology just stuck. And so now we say, you know, can you hang up the phone for me? I can't reach, you know. And again, you can say, can you hang up the receiver as well? But you can't say, so I said before, you can say answer the phone, but you can't say, can you answer the receiver? So that's a big like no, okay? So pick up the phone, pick up the receiver, hang up the phone, hang up the receiver, answer the phone. Nothing about receiver with answer, okay? And the next thing that I might say to someone is, I can't get through. And I can't get through means I'm not able to reach the person on the other end of the phone line, okay? So I can't get through to them, and it could be for multiple reasons. So I might say, you know, I can't get through because it's engaged. I can't get through because there's no dial tone. The dial tone is like on a landline when you pick up the phone. Normally it does like a beep before you dial, and sometimes there's like no sound. So that's the dial tone. So yeah, I can't get through is the way I would explain to somebody that I can't speak to someone on the other end. Sorry, I just saw a question from Lysiana. What would you like to know how to spell? Receiver or dial? If it's receiver, put an R. If it's dial, put a D, and I'll spell it for you. As you know, there's a bit of a delay. So yeah, I apologize if I pause for a minute every now and again. If it's receiver, then it's RECEIVER. So receiver, but we say receiver, yeah? And if it's dial, the dial tone, then it's DIAL, dial. So we can also say, I'm going to dial my friend. So when I get my iPhone and I press like 0436218282, I'm dialing my friend, yeah? I'm dialing the number. When I'm pushing the button, when it's a phone call, it's called dialing. It's DIALLING, dialing. So I was saying like maybe there's some problems happening on the phone. And so I said I couldn't get through to someone. But some other problems might be that I got cut off, okay? Now, sometimes when we're on a phone call, all of a sudden the person at the other end is not there, okay? And it can be for two reasons. One, I got cut off, the phone line died, yeah? Or two, we got in an argument and they put the phone down, yeah? So we say they hung up on me. They hung up on me, yeah? Now, hopefully no one's hanging up on anyone because it's pretty horrible to get hung up on. But yes, Luciana, that's the correct spelling for through, yes. So yeah, it's pretty horrible to get hung up on. I'm sure if it has happened to one of you guys, then you remember it. And hopefully that's not the case here. But if the line just goes, then we normally say I got cut off. And sometimes if someone, like if there's an argument and you think, oh gee, I'm not sure if they hung up on me, or I don't want them to think that I hung up on them. So you might call them back, and instead of saying like, why did you hang up on me? You might say to them, you know, I think we got cut off, because it's just a nicer way of implying the phone call didn't continue. Yeah. I said I can't get through, but it could be, as I said before, that the line is engaged. It could be that the line is busy, or it could be because I have the wrong number. Yeah. So maybe I've called someone and I've dialed the wrong number, or they've dialed the wrong number calling me. Another way it might not work is perhaps if the battery on my phone is dead, my mobile is dead, or the battery is flat or low, okay? So I'm just giving you some terminology to use here of like how to say, you know, I couldn't call you because my battery was flat. I couldn't call you because my battery was low, yeah? I couldn't call you because I had no battery. Yeah, I think there's probably the three. I'm trying to think how I've heard Brazilians say it before. I think I've heard people say like, I had no charge, but we don't really say no charge in this instance. We just say the battery was flat. And it's the same with your car, actually. The car battery, if the car's not working, the battery was flat. Sometimes we're on the phone with people and we can't hear them very well. And so in that instance, we might say something like we're talking and there's sounds in the background and you can't hear me, yeah? So that's when I might say to somebody, sorry, I think it's a bad line, or sorry, we have a bad line, just to clarify that it's not that you don't want to talk, but that there's an error somewhere in the technology side of things, yeah? And I'm sure that, you know, on some occasions, maybe some of you have pretended there's been a bad line. Yeah, just so that others won't talk to you, or you won't have to talk to them. And then, of course, there's the tricky one where I can't remember who said it earlier, but somebody said, you know, it's just hard to understand. I think it was Anna. And, you know, often it is hard to understand people on the phone. And so it's really good to keep the phrase, could you spell that for me, please, in your memory bank, yeah? Because especially if somebody's trying to give you directions to somewhere, or they're trying to give you a name that's a little bit tricky, then you can always use that phrase, you know, could you please spell that? It's good for two reasons. One, you can spell it out, but obviously you have to know the letters in English to be able to do that. And it also slows the conversation down, because sometimes when you're speaking to an Australian on the phone, they're going to be speaking really quickly, like you will understand what they're saying, and why aren't you keeping up? I don't understand. And so and it's a bit like video, except that on a video you can read my lips, yeah, you can see my facial expression. Sometimes on a phone you can't, well, all the time on a phone, you can't see the person's face. You don't know if they're happy. You have to listen for the tone, you know. And so that becomes interesting. And yes, it makes it very hard. So just having that phrase, could you please spell that for me? It often helps, because it slows the person down that's on the other end, and they realize like, oh, this person's not understanding everything I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to slow down. Don't be embarrassed to use it, because Australians are using it on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm at work and I might be talking to a parent of a student that I teach, and I'm constantly asking them like, okay, could you please spell your surname? Could you please spell that out to me? You know, whoever the person is they're talking about, etc., etc. Some other things I might be saying are, could you speak up, please? So I said the line might be like, shh. You can always ask them, you know, can you please speak up? Can you raise your voice? Yeah. Now, we don't want you to say raise your voice, because raising somebody's voice can imply they're angry. Okay. So rather than say, can you raise your voice? Can you speak up is what we ask them to say. And I personally would always say, you know, can you speak up? I'm not able to hear you. We must have a bad line. Because I always want to blame, and I think this is quite normal in Australia. I want to blame the technology, not the person, even though it might be the person, okay? And this is one thing I know that Australians can often seem like, I hear a lot of Brazilians saying, why are you always saying sorry? But we often say sorry to each other, even when I know it's not my fault, because it's the polite thing to do. Okay, it's polite for me to apologize before, so that I don't offend the person when I'm talking to them. So I would say like, sorry, could you speak up a little bit, because I can't hear you properly. I think we have a bad line. Yeah. Blame the technology or the connection. Don't blame the person. And then I might say like, sorry, you're breaking up. Now this time I'm using your, but it doesn't imply you. Yeah. It implies your situation. Yeah. So I would say, sorry, the sound or the voice, you're breaking up. Yeah. And breaking up just means like, I can only hear little bits of each of the conversation. Sorry, I'm trying to like do it and it's not working. I'm just looking silly. But yeah, like it's when you can only hear sections of the word, not all of the word in a flow. Okay. So sorry, you're breaking up. Would you repeat that, please? And using please is super important, okay? There are some nationalities that just don't use please and thank you as much as we do. And it's essential that you do, because when you don't, you are the odd one out and you look rude, okay? And I don't think anybody who's here wants to look rude. So if you are unsure if you should say please, say it anyway. If you're unsure if you should say thank you, say it anyway. Yeah, you can... My partner would disagree with me, but you can never say please or thank you too many times. At least that's how we feel here. So the next one, I'm just going to have a drink. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so the next one might be somebody calls me, and when that person calls, they ask for Tina, yeah? And my name's Tanya. So she says, brr, brr, and I answer, hello. And she says, hi, is Tina there? And I say, oh, sorry. I think you have the wrong number, yeah? So sorry, I think you have the wrong number. This is the phrase that I would be saying to any person, yeah? It's the polite way of me saying, you know, maybe you've made a mistake, but the actual phrase would be, sorry, I think you have the wrong number. I could say, sorry, there's no one of that name here. Yeah, there is no one of that name, Tina, here in my house. Yeah, so that's another way that I can reply if it's the wrong name that they're looking for. And I might keep going and say to them, like, so that I can be sure, I might say to them, what number were you after? Or what number were you trying to dial? There's that word again, dial, okay? So what number were you after? But of course, this is when you have to be confident in understanding numbers on the phone as well, okay? So we need to really enunciate, pronounce every number. So obviously if we're giving, yes, so if we're giving the number to somebody, don't rush, you know, if you're giving a landline number to someone, it should be 4 digits and 4 digits. If you're giving your mobile number to someone, it should be 4 digits, 3 digits, and 3 digits, okay? So that's just how we deliver it. The next section is like me calling out. I'm gonna ring somebody else, okay? And so what am I gonna do on the phone when I'm calling somebody? Well, first of all, I'm going to introduce myself. So I ring someone, and they answer and they say hello. I don't just go straight into asking for what I want, okay? It's natural and normal here, and I think all different places in the world, to introduce ourselves first. So I don't know the person on the other end, and I say, hi, this is Tanya. I'm calling from Concord High School. And then I explain why, okay? So I say, I'm calling to speak with Roger regarding Mary, his daughter. And Roger says, this is Roger, okay? He's the guy that answered the phone. And he says, this is Roger, but then he can't talk to me because he's busy. So he says, can I call you back? And I say, yeah, sure. Call me later. That's fine. I'll talk to you then. Thanks, Roger. Bye. And, you know, he decides he'll ring me back later on. Or it could go a little bit differently. There could be somebody else who answers the phone. Let's say Julia answers the phone, but I still want Roger. So I ring and I say, brr, brr, hello. And I say, hi, this is Tanya. I'm calling from Concord High School. I was just calling to speak to Roger about Mary, his daughter. And then Julia says, oh, hold on a moment. I'll put you through. Okay, hold on a moment. I'll put you through. So this kind of language can help it work on the phone, okay? So, for example, most businesses have like a transfer system where you can put somebody on hold and then they can pick it up in another room, or you can put somebody on hold and you can just yell out like, Roger, there's a phone call for you, and Roger will come over, yeah? So the statement we would use is, hold on a moment, I'll put you through. I wouldn't say, can you wait? Because to wait is felt a little bit as being rude, okay? So rather than say, please wait, or can you wait, we would say, I'll put you on hold. And there might be a stage where like I'm talking to somebody and I'm asking for Roger and they're helping me and they're nice and everything, but I haven't spoken to Roger and I want to know who I'm talking to. So I would just ask like, who am I speaking with, please? Who am I speaking with, please? Or who am I talking to, please? But I wouldn't normally say speaking to. I would say speaking with or talking to, okay? So maybe keep those in mind. And then I just mentioned, you know, it's a little bit rude to say, please wait, or wait there. And so if I were the other person, let's say you've called me and I've answered the phone and you've said, hi, I don't know who haven't I mentioned yet? I'm Esther, and I'm calling because I would like to talk to Marcus. I would say, could you hold the line a moment, please? Okay, so could you hold the line a moment, please? I'll just get him for you. Could you hold the line a moment, please? And I'm not asking them to like hold the line, the telephone line. I'm just asking for them to wait, but nicely. I might ask, can I put you on hold for a moment? Can I put you on hold for a moment? Or to be super polite, I might say, would you mind holding, please? Because then if the person says like, yes, I mind, well, then I know that it's urgent and I need to be even nicer. So sometimes at work, maybe there's somebody who's rude who rings on the phone and they're angry about something, you know, something didn't work out, they got the wrong meal, whatever, and they're ringing to complain. I would probably, if they're ringing to complain, I would ask them, would you mind holding while I go get my boss? Because then I'm asking their permission to put them on hold, yeah? Rather than, like sometimes you can ring somewhere and they answer the phone, they might say like, Jerry's Pizza. And then before you even had a chance to speak, they might say, hold the line a moment, please. And they put you on hold, yeah? This is not the most polite way to do it, but it's certainly one you might come into. So it might be something that you run into if you're ringing a restaurant. And we're going to talk about ringing a restaurant shortly. But when I come back to the phone, so after I've told somebody, you know, would you mind if I put you on hold? Then I would always start with the apology again. So I would say like, sorry for making you wait, yeah? Jerry wasn't available, can I help you at all? Something like that, yeah? But sorry for keeping you waiting. Yeah, sorry for making you wait is generally a pretty good one. Now, there's always two types of phone calls that we can make. Informal ones and formal ones, yeah? So obviously you know before you call what type of phone call it's going to be. In the same way that a lot of the time, as I mentioned last week, you know the type of conversation you're going to have because you know the age of the person, you know who you're going to be speaking to, etc., etc. So it's really important that we think a lot about, you know, informal versus formal conversation. So if I'm using informal language on the phone, then obviously I'm going to say, like, answer the phone, hello, or hi. You know, it doesn't have to be something that's formal. I personally answer my phone informally if I know the person, yeah? So a lot of the time, you know, it'll say mum on my phone and I'm like, hi, mum. Or, you know, if it's Marcus, then I don't even know that I say hi. I'm just like, oh yeah, I do, but I say it in Portuguese. Yeah. So, yeah, but if it's a number that I don't know, we call it a no number. Okay, so there's no number on my screen, or maybe there is a number on my screen, but I don't have it saved in my phone. I don't know who that person is. So we call it a no number. If it's a no number, I always answer the same way. And that would be, hello, Tanya speaking. Okay, so I always state my name and that I'm speaking, yeah? So Tanya speaking is the way I say it. And it's a very common way for people to say who they are, but still keep it rather informal, yeah? And so, like, Marcus always laughs at me about that one because he's like, you always tell people who you are when you answer the phone. But it's just the polite and done thing to do, yeah? So they might ask me, you know, would Tony be there, please? And I can either answer like, yes, just one moment. This is still all informal, yeah? Just one moment, sure, just a moment. And then I might come back and say, oh, sorry, Tony's on the other line, but I'm still using that apology first. So sorry, Tony's on the other line. Could I take a message? Okay, so can I take a message? Can I put your name down or whatever it is you want to say to him and I'll let him know? And then they might respond, yes, it's Lucy. Could you have him call me? or could you get him to call me? Could you have him call me? Could you get him to call me on, and then they give their number, 0410 502 186. And again, knowing the numbers is super important. But if I don't, sorry, could you repeat that? Like get into the habit of just saying it again. So rather than getting nervous and thinking like, I don't know if I got that right, just ask them to repeat it. It's fine. And then, so I've got the number and I say, sure, thanks, no problem. Okay, we're done. Our conversation is over. Rather informal, rather quick. If it's your friend, if it's me, if it's someone you know well, then it's not going to matter how you're speaking on the phone, because that person knows your level of English, they know your conversation ability, they probably know you're a really nice person, and so they make allowances for those kind of things. A formal phone call is the one that more of you are worried about, yeah? And so this is where we're more specific. We generally greet someone with the time of day. So like, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. And then we say where we're calling from or where we're answering from. And then we ask them how we can help. So at work, I would be like, good morning, Concord High School, Tanya Davies speaking. How can I help you? And so it's a lot more formal, yeah? It's not just the hi, what's up? that I use with my mum. And if I were to answer, I'm going to pretend I'm on the phone. And I kind of want you to think about what you would say. So I'm Tanya, obviously, and you're like a parent who wants to talk to another teacher, a maths teacher, yeah? So the person rings, and I answer the phone. And I say, good morning, Concord High School, Tanya Davies speaking. How can I help you? And the parent says, I'd like to speak to the maths teacher, please. And then I respond, I'm sorry, done it again, apologised. Ms. Wilkinson is on class at the moment, or Ms. Wilkinson is out at the moment, or Ms. Wilkinson is not available at the moment. Can I take a message, or would you like to leave a message? Okay, so those are the kind of like things that I can respond with. And then the parent says like, no, thank you. Could you just have her return my call? So if you can use this language informally as well, could you just have her return my call? And I say, yes, of course. Was there anything else I could do for you? Or was there anything else I can help you with? And I may need to ask them if I don't know who they are, if there hasn't already been like an attempt at communication, I might need to ask, can I take your name and number, please? So that question is, can I take your name and number, please? And then the response would be, yes, my name is Lynn Davies and my number is 2687 4534. Yeah. So this is the more formal ID. If you have formal questions, can you pop them in the box for me, please? Okay, so the next one, I wasn't going to do this one tonight, but I always, as you guys know, have a chat with Marcus before my class about like what I'm going to talk about. And tonight I said to him, like, we're going to be doing phone calls. And so what do you need to know about phone calls? And his answer to me was, pretty much nothing. But he did need to learn something. And I said, well, what's the trickiest, hardest part of speaking in English on the phone? And he said, sometimes when I'm calling a restaurant, I want to like order food. Like sometimes we do it on our app, of course, where we just, place it on Uber Eats. But that, to be honest, that's the easy option, yeah? Because these days you can all use your Uber Eats and you don't have to have a conversation. And that's why you love it. But to be honest, the one that's going to help your English the most is if you're calling and placing an order. So first of all, I want to teach you this word, placing an order, yeah? Because even when you're using the Uber Eats app, when you make an order, you don't make it in English, you place the order, okay? So if you already knew that it was place the order, give me a thumb up. If you didn't know that it was place an order, give me some love so I can see you're all still awake. But yeah, we don't make an order, we place an order. If you work in hospitality, so if you work with food, Can you tell me down below? Because maybe you know these things because you work in the industry. So I want to know that too, okay? And I'm getting no love and no likes, so I reckon you've all fallen asleep. Hello, anybody at home? Just kidding. Hope not. Going in for the drink again. Oh, I got some love. Woohoo! Good. One person's awake. It's worth it. For one person, it's worth it. All right. Oh, yeah, a bit more. Yay. All right. So this one is about phone calls for placing food orders. So obviously I ring the restaurant. You're giving me some love now. It's feeling good. Okay. I ring the restaurant and I say to the restaurant, look, well, I like making the sounds. So they answer the phone. Hello, Tony's Pizza Shop. And actually, let's do Chinese. I prefer Chinese food. I like both, but at the moment I'm craving Chinese food. So, hello, Carlingford Chinese restaurant. How can I help you? And I say, hi, can I place an order, please? Okay, that's the first question. That means, can I tell you what I want to eat? Okay, but the terminology is, can I place an order, please? And they respond, sure, what can I get you? Or sure, what would you like? Yeah. And I say, can I please have some spring rolls, some fried rice, one fried rice, and a large, I don't know, chicken cashew nut. And they say, sure. Would you like any dessert with that? Because let's face it, all restaurants ask us if we want to buy more. Yeah. So would you like any dessert with that? And I say, yes, please. I'll have some fried ice cream because I love fried ice cream. And they say, all right, would you like anything else? And I say, no, thanks. That's everything. Generally, in a takeaway restaurant, they'll then tell me how much I owe. So they might say something like, okay, that'll be $32.80, whatever it is that you're going to pay. My dinner was just pretty cheap actually, but you know, they'll tell me what I owe them. And the next question to come is that pickup or delivery? The question that they normally ask is that pickup or delivery? Or they say, is that takeaway or delivery? Now, pickup and takeaway, same thing. Delivery, one thing, okay? So let's do delivery first. Delivery means they go to you, okay? I've called, I've ordered, I've paid on the phone. Maybe I've given them my credit card number, or I'm going to pay when they get to my house. But they are going to give the food to somebody. That person is going to drive the food to my house, like an Uber person. Can I place an order, please? Yes, that's correct. Lou, always add please on the end, okay? I can't tell you how important it is, yeah? Even if you think you sound polite, can I place an order? It's a bit rude, yeah? So can I place an order, please, okay? And please, if you don't learn anything tonight other than the please, use the please, it will help, yeah? I'm sure you say please and thank you. I'm not saying you don't, but even in a phrase, we need to add them in all the time, yeah? So can I place an order, please? Yeah. So the delivery means they bring it to you, to your house. Pick up means I'm going to go there and I'm going to pick up my food and take it away. Whoop. So pick up and take away, it's the same thing, yeah? And when I was talking with Marcus earlier, he said to me, they say pick up or delivery, and he always responds, I'm going to go there and take it away. But which is so cute. I thought that was so cute. But I asked why, and he said, because sometimes I don't know what it means. Sometimes I don't know if they want to bring it or they want me to take it. And, you know, I thought it was just adorable. I laughed a lot. But it basically means if they're going to deliver, they're bringing it to you. And sometimes they charge money for that, okay? So maybe it's going to be like, I don't know, $4 or $5 or something like that. There'll be a fee, a bit like Uber. Whereas if you go to the restaurant, it's free and you just pick up and take away your food, yeah? But one more, so I say, oh, I'll pick it up, thanks. And my next question to them would be like, how long will it take? Or how long will it be? So how long until my food is ready? And they might respond 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. And I say like, okay, thanks. And to confirm that I'm going to pick it up, I say, okay, thanks. See you then. Like, see you in 20 minutes. See you in 15 minutes. See you then. All right. So these are me ordering food because I love ordering. I love takeaway food. I love takeaway. Oh, I really love it. It's not good for you, but yeah, I'm a big takeaway fan. I love to cook. But some days I just come home from work and I think, oh, I'm just going to get takeaway, and I think I get takeaway at least twice a week, which I might have to cut back when we have the baby because it can be too expensive, right? And my pay is going to go down because I'm not going to be working. All right. So this is the last section of the night and it's already 9:30. So I'm conscious of your time and thank you for staying. But I do want to do one more, okay? And this one is job interviews, yeah? Because this was a question that came up for me and people asked about like phone interviews, job interviews. So I'm just going to give you some tips. And if you have a pen, maybe you want to write some down. So the first thing is like, if it's a job interview, it's always formal language that you're using. And using your manners are super important because it's the first impression that the person's going to have of you. So you need to be polite and you need to be using your manners, yeah? There's always two types of phone interviews. One is a scheduled phone interview and one is an unscheduled phone interview. So the difference is that a scheduled phone interview is one you know when it's happening, you know the time, you know who will call, you know on what day, and that you should be ready, yeah? And an unscheduled phone interview is when they just call you and you have to like pick up the phone and suddenly think on your feet. And obviously the scheduled one is much nicer, okay? Yeah, Priscilla, takeaway is heaven. Heaven, 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 yeah? Like up there. So obviously the scheduled phone interview is what you want. If you can organize your phone interview and you can organize a time and a date and a place, like when I say a place, like the time and the date, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to be at home on that day at that time. So there's no like background noise and it's easier to hear, then that would be what I recommend to you if you can organize that, okay? But then after that, after you know when it's going to happen, you need to do your homework. Yes, Lou, schedule, okay? Yep, Priscilla, that's right. So you need to do your homework. You need to find out about the company that you want to work for, okay? Whether it be food, whether it be beauty, whether it be a TV company, whatever, you need to know about them. So do your homework, research the company, who's in charge, who's the person that's going to call you. Are they important in the company? Are they well respected? Do your homework on the person as well, okay? So do a bit of like a Google search, yeah? It's not hard to find information on people these days. Like if I really wanted to know about you guys, I probably could just pump some information into Google and I'd find some stuff out, yeah? So do the same. Do the reverse. Make sure you're aware of the type of person you're speaking to and what their importance is in the position or the job that you want to go for. Make sure also that you prepare questions for a phone interview, okay? So think about what you want to know. Prepare the questions for two reasons. So that you can get information about the company, so you can earn information about the company, and also to show them that you are the right choice for that position, okay? So when you're preparing questions, prepare it with those two things in mind. When you're actually in the phone call having the interview, there's a few things that you need to do as well. You need to make sure, first of all, that you're listening. And this kind of lesson is a really great practice for that, okay? But make sure that you're listening to what they're saying. And while you're listening, do what you're doing at home. Take notes. Yeah. Listen to what they're saying. Take notes. Then when you have the opportunity, talk. But don't be the first one to talk. Make sure you know what they want you to talk about. Yeah. Because some of the errors is that we're so nervous when we have an interview that we just want to tell them everything about ourselves. And sometimes it's not what they want to hear. So let them tell you what they're looking for and then work out how you fit into that role, into that position. Use your tone in your voice, okay? Now, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you think, well, it's not my first language. How can I use my tone? There's one way I've talked about quite frequently, quite often with you about changing your tone. And that is just simply by smiling as you speak, because you sound so much happier than when you don't. Okay? This week's homework is to practice speaking to yourself in the mirror, smiling. And then to practice saying the same thing without smiling, and just listen to the difference in the tone in your voice. Okay? Because we want you to be happy on the phone. We want you to seem energetic, powerful, even if they can't see your face. And you don't need to worry if you look silly because they can't see your face. Yeah? They can only hear how happy you are in your voice. Makes a big difference. Okay? It can be heard. Your happiness and your energy can be heard in the phone. Make sure that you create and prepare some type of positive ending for the interview before the interview. So you know what you're going to say at the end to make it a positive, powerful finish. It's like any interview, really. So you might say something like, you might thank them for giving you thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm so excited about the possibility of working with your company. Yeah. So make sure you give them a thanks for what they're giving you. And then also you may say something like, I would be pleased to meet you in person to carry on this conversation. Yeah. It's like encouraging them to want to spend more time with you to get to know you as one of the candidates for the job. And then obviously the last thing, and I'm terrible at this, I think a lot of us are, is you just need to be patient as well. And don't kick yourself in the bottom, okay, if you don't hear back from them. Because every one of the phone interviews is an experience, and that experience is going to lead you towards a better experience and towards the place where you're supposed to be or the job you're supposed to have. All right. So they're my tips for job interviews on phones. I haven't given you specific language because every job's different and I don't know what any jobs are that you're going for. Okay. So if you do want specific language in another lesson, maybe you can tell me what type of job you're going for. And that way I can look for some more language around that. So this is the point where I was going to ask you guys if you have any questions. So if you do, could you pop them down for me? And I will remind you that I'm going to type up these notes as well. I know some of you have written things in this lesson, which is great. That's my number one pointer to you is take notes. But I will type these up as well so that I have them for future reference and also so that you can refer back to them. And that way it might also help with some of the little spelling issues as well, if you can actually see what it said. So give me a couple of days. It's pretty busy at work at the moment, and tomorrow I have a swimming carnival, so I'm not in the office at all. So just give me a couple of days and I will get those up for you. I hope tonight's lesson was helpful and that it wasn't too slow for anyone. But remember, even if you only learnt one thing, it was worth coming to my class, okay? So yeah, it's always, thanks Lou, thank you. It's always helpful to know if it's been good for you guys. So thanks a lot. You're very welcome. And I leave here chuffed as well if there's a positive end to this. See, you're giving me good feelings and I want to come back, okay? So thanks for coming again. Keep telling your friends that the videos are here. If they want to join this particular page, they can join at any time and they can watch the videos back Yeah, I haven't done anything on YouTube in a few days because I had my gender reveal on the weekend. And so I've been really busy, and we're having a little girl. So I'm very excited about that. But yeah, that's why I've been a bit off air for a few days. But I'm coming down again now. And so I'll get some more things up on Instagram for you guys. And yeah, I just love spending time with you. So yeah, have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you all same time, same place next Thursday. No questions? It looks like there's no questions. All right, thank you guys, thanks. If you think of a question, pop it below and I will try and answer it later for you, okay? Good night everyone, and have a great week. Bye.